video, I'm going to talk about Misa. In another video, I'll talk about what you can expect to see with some of the order of Misa. But today, I'm going to talk about why we do it. So, Misa means, in Spanish, means mass, and it's basically folk seances. So the spiritualism of the European Victorians and the table turning, etc., met with indigenous African and Indian practices in dealing with their ancestors, spirit guides, etc., combined to make a crossed regional practice. Although there's spiritualism in South America, there's spiritualism in Cuba, as well as Puerto Rico that is somewhat similar. And so we do them usually, I try to do them at least once a month. And that's for us just to receive messages in a group because of the prayers and the like-mindedness and compounding people's spirits bring more spirits. It's a very psychically charged environment. And so the reason why we do Misa can vary, and so then what we do will vary in it for the different types of Misas. But generally people go to receive their messages in just a normal basic type Misa. And the way we receive those messages is in several ways. So the different types of Misas though, so maybe we don't do a Misa where everybody gets a message because we're in a small group. We can do that. In large groups, not everybody will get a message. And it's very different from European groups, which maybe I'll do a video another time about my experience going to one of their groups as well. But so people can get disappointed if they don't get a message from spirit, and you can't go expecting to get messages from specific spirits because the message that's given is the message that is most needed and the spirit that most needs to give it at the time to you. And it could be on any number of things, solving problems in your life, giving you a warning, saying things that your spirits need, etc., things you need to do. But like I said, not everybody will get a message, but just by attending the Misa, because I was talking to someone who lives in an area where they only do Misas in Spanish, and this is very common that most of the Misas are held in Spanish. It's only now with second and third generation Puerto Ricans and Cubans in America that they're beginning to do them in English, or as other people from other backgrounds join into these families, such as myself. I do understand Spanish, and my Spanish is getting better all the time, and I also understand French, so that was a lot easier for me to start understanding more Spanish besides living in Texas for almost 8 years. But yeah, that's a challenge. But I told them, well, you should go to Misa anyways, because this is something that people don't understand. That the vibrations at the Misa is for light and progress of disincarnated souls, but also ourself, which are just spirits inside of a body. So we will actually elevate ourselves and elevate our spiritual court just by being in that environment. And so just by being in that environment, that's what you can get out of the experience. If you're just looking for what you can get out of it yourself, that's the main thing. Even if you don't even understand the language, you're in a very psychically charged environment, and you're in an environment where light and elevation just kind of contaminates or infiltrates your spiritual court and yourself, so your own spirit and your court can get light and elevation that way, besides just a candle. It's a very spiritual light. Secondly is spiritual development. So because it's a very cyclically charged environment, and because your spiritual court is getting that education and that light and your own spirit, then your gifts should be able to start unraveling a little bit more. And because we are very physical medium based, not all of us, but most of us, and because it's a physical practice, you'll get this knowledge in your body, which is very hard to explain what it is. And it'll start developing your other gifts. So say you're very strong in one area, like I've always been a very strong dreamer, and I've been, I guess, good at divination. these other gifts that I didn't even know I had. I wasn't a very big spirit smeller, for example, and now I do get sense and stuff like that. So to help, they call it desarrollo, or unfolding your gifts, is another reason to go to these Misas, besides getting messages and besides progress and elevation spiritually. They can have different things, like the energy is also purifying, but other things like cleansings could be going on, healings could be going on. Misas are held to recogniento, to help solve a problem. So if someone has a problem with a spirit attachment, or someone has an illness, someone's being bugged by a spirit, then we can figure out, okay, what's your deal? Why are you here? Why are you doing this? And we can attempt to make an agreement, or to, if all else fails, to educate the spirit, then to chase them off. There's Misa cordons, which are more circular dancing for the native spirits. It's dancing in a circle. It's more of a physical exertion type mediumship. Usually that one's held outside by a river if possible. There's Misas for investigation into your spirits and your spiritual court. And so just by going to these Misas, some of your spirits are going to start to step forwards. So a guide eventually, and it might not happen right away. Some people's spirits are harder to read or are slower to come forwards than other people. And then even 2 years from now, a spirit might step forward that has been more in the background. And the first ones that step forward are usually the strongest or the most in need, or assigned to be more present in your life. And it may not actually be your main spirit guide even. But we can start to, and that's traditionally done in person. So nowadays, yes, people do start doing spiritual court readings and can tap into a few of your spirits, but it's stronger and it's more traditionally done in person. And so that's why we have these events. Also, one of the tenets of espiritismo is charity, which actually means love for your fellow man. So it is by donation, but the work itself and our materials required to do some of our practices, versus European spiritualism doesn't use all the perfumes, incense, etc. that we use. So that helps provide to our material, and also after for food, because we need to help ground and rid ourselves of those influences before we go home. So those are the reasons why we have Misas, and hopefully it understands more like what you can get out of a Misa, even if you don't get some of your messages. Oh yeah, there's also Misa elevation. So kind of like how you will hold your white table at home and put it in arrangement to elevate a spirit. So if someone's newly passed over, or after a year as well, we can do specific prayers to help elevate a spiritual court, or to help to elevate certain spirits as well. So there's many reasons why we might hold a particular have a Misa more geared towards a more specific thing, but I guess I hope that explains more about Misas.